Hey guys, I hope you're all well. I know it's been a while since I last posted a video, and I've been quite quiet recently, but we asked people to send in questions in regards to seances, in regards to the incident, what happened at the Banyan in May. So we said, if you send the questions in, then I would attempt to answer them. So in the video that's just about to come up now, you're going to see my attempt at answering some of those questions. If you didn't get a chance to send some questions in, or you think of some questions while watching, then feel free to send them in. At the end of the video, I will pop the email address, or if you're on my Facebook, you can send me a private message, and and I'll attempt to get them answered and get them out as soon as possible. Just want to say a big thank you to all the people out there who have given me support and give me the good comments that you've had in regards to the seances you've been to with me and the results you've had. Really happy about that. And yeah, just a big thank you to all the support out there. Love you guys, enjoy the video, and I will hopefully see some of you soon and hopefully talk to some of you soon. Bye.
I'm sitting here. Have you ever used trickery in your psychic work?
No, I always let spirit do the work.
Thank you. Is there a protocol for seances, and what's your pre-seance talk?
So with every seance, we have a list of instructions we ask people to adhere by to have the best outcome in the seance. Those instructions are sent to people beforehand to read, to understand, to ask questions that they don't understand. And then before a seance, I will go through those instructions, or one of my circle members will go through those instructions, which will outline everything. And it's a verbal contract as well as a written contract, so people are saying that they understand what the requirements are, that they will follow those requirements, and then they will sign them.
And do people sign anything prior to the seance?
People will sign the seance agreement, but we also do a verbal contract by reading the instructions beforehand and giving the sitters the opportunity to raise any questions or concerns that they might have about sitting, as well as giving the opportunity to not sit if they feel that they can't follow the instructions.
Thank you. Do you record the seance, audio recording, and if so, have you listened to it?
We will often audio record each of the seances. I don't personally do that. I try and have as little involvement as possible. So one of our circle members will often do that. As far as I'm aware, to the best of my knowledge, I thought that an audio recording was made of the night, but as far as I'm aware, we haven't got a copy of it.
Do you have the video/audio recording of the seance?
No, I do not have a copy of the video. I've never had a copy of the video. I've never seen the whole video. I haven't seen any of the video. I've seen clips. I think the same ones that are probably online, but no, I've never received a copy of the video.
And why not?
I've asked, as of today, I've still not received a copy of the video.
What exactly do you know about the seance which was filmed, and were you aware it was different in any way?
So we had suspicions. Well, I had a bad feeling about doing a seance for the Banyan for Nick. So before the seance, I asked that he attended another seance I did, just to make sure that he was happy with everything. He came along, he was, so we carried on with the date. On the day of the seance, I again had a feeling that I probably shouldn't sit. I put that in my mind, went ahead with it. Again, I had the same feeling just before we started, and again I pushed on against my better judgment, and yeah, we went ahead with the seance.
Were you informed about the cameras being present?
Nope. Our seance instructions clearly state no recording, video recording of any type. I had suspicions, but I was never told there was cameras, and I was never asked permission to use cameras.
So you didn't know that they were filming the seance?
Nope, I had no idea that they were going to film the seance.
In your pre-seance talk, do you mention anything about the use of cameras?
So in the pre-seance talk, we clearly state there's no use of video or any recording equipment without prior written consent, which had not been received by Banyan.
Did the circle leader know anything about the security camera or camera being used, and what was the reaction?
So none of us were informed about the recording till about 2 weeks afterwards. Up to that point, we had no idea about any recording equipment or about what had been recorded. So initially, when we first found out, we were shocked.
Do you think you were ambushed, and for a reason?
So Yeah, I do believe the whole seance was a setup, even down to the regards that Nick was given the opportunity to sit in a seance a couple of weeks prior to raise any concerns that he had about my seances before I sat at the Banyan. He didn't. He was happy. He was happy for us to proceed. He obviously went out of his way to put those cameras to use, as he hasn't used it for any other physical medium. He says that he got information from Spirit, so he's obviously been in discussion with other mediums. So yeah, I think it was something he planned.
Do you have, I think you've said in one of your statements that you were tied into the chair and the next thing you knew, the seance was over and you were still tied into the chair. Is that correct?
So yeah, in regards to that seance and most seances, I don't have any memory during the seance. If I'm lucky, I will remember being tied up. That night in particular, I can remember doing the talk and I think I can remember being searched. The next thing I remember is waking up and I was tied up, and I can remember asking if anyone wanted to check the cable ties before I was cut out.
Are you happy that it happened in this way without your knowledge or permission?
I don't think happy is the right word. I completely trust in the Spirit team. They know what they're doing. They have the reasons why they do what they do. So if that's what they want to do, then yes, I'm happy. Ideally, I would like if it wasn't me they used, but they know best, and I'm happy to go with what they want.
Sitters were told or believed that they were touching and interacting with materialised spirit beings, presumably a deceased loved one. In short, they were deceived. Are you happy that they were deceived, or were they deceived?
I don't believe anyone was deceived. If that's what Spirit have claimed, then that's what I believe has happened. From what Spirit said in their previous statement, there was plenty that happened on that night which was not picked up on the camera. Looking at a testimonial that was taken straight after the seance, the person in question reports having 4 or 5 hands on them. I'm sure there's nowhere in the video where you'll see me grow an extra 2 pair of hands and touch that person with 4 or 5 hands at the same time. So obviously something has happened in that seance which has not been picked up on the camera. And I do believe that if people felt Spirit on the night, which they told me afterwards they did, and they felt they experienced something, then yeah, I believe that's what they experienced.
And that's actually the next question. Was other real phenomena taking place in the circle and not recorded by the cameras?
Yeah, I believe that was the case, and that Spirit worked with the best of the opportunity for what they wanted to do. It was an experiment for them, and that's what they did.
In reference to the comments on Facebook regarding the very tall man who showed up during this seance, why was this not recorded on camera?
That's something you'd probably have to ask the Spirit team. They'd probably explain more as to why things weren't picked up on the camera, or why they didn't want things picked up on the camera. For me, I said I don't know what happens during the seance. I'm just used to hearing, definitely not the medium, which clearly tells me that people are experiencing things that they can't contribute to me. So, for example, I know there's a comment saying from an old circle member saying that he knew it was me because the chest was shaved. Now, I'm aware from our earlier seances, if I had shaved my chest, Spirit would often show a figure that had chest hair, and vice versa. If I didn't shave, then they would show smooth, and that they've now moved on to showing both. I can assure anyone who's welcome to search me afterwards in a seance, I don't shave half my chest, so I couldn't let people feel hair and not hair at the same time in the same place.
There have been 7 short videos shown. A seance normally goes for over 2 hours. What happened to the remaining video surveillance?
I don't know. I don't know what happened to the rest. As I said, as of yet, I haven't watched any of the clips, but also I have requested the video, and as of today, I've still not received a copy of the video. So I don't know what is or isn't in that video.
Please explain the nature of phenomena, touches, sounds, etc.
So within one of our seances, things I've been told, you can get things like the trumpet phenomena, trumpet moving around, touching people, objects moving around. People often report being touched. When one of our spirit entities, Mrs. Barnaby, works, people often get communication with a loved one. Often people experience, from what I'm told and what I've seen in the testimonials, people in different parts of a room will often get touched at the same time. Sometimes multiple people. Some people have experienced straight voice, some people have felt hands behind them, even when they're sitting against a wall. multiple people have been brought into the room at the same time. Some people have received healing for conditions for which I would have had no idea or knowledge about beforehand, but were accurate, and then those people report afterwards that they are feeling much better. To list some of the things.
Very good. Do you believe that the real phenomena was not recorded or made available?
The spirit team have said in the statement that there was lots that happened that the cameras didn't pick up, and I believe that. If that's what they said, then that's what I believe. And listening from what I can remember of the night people afterwards, the majority of people in that seance were happy, and they told me they were happy. So if they felt spirit, then that's all we really look for in a seance as evidence. We always, in our seance instructions, make perfectly clear we can't make any guarantees. Everything is an experiment. Spirit will work with what they have. I'm sure if Nick had allowed the seance to carry on in its normal way, spirit would have been happy to work normal. Because we weren't given the conditions we asked for to enable the seance to be in normal conditions. Spirit took the opportunity, because I didn't call the seance and because I gave them the go-ahead, Spirit took the opportunity and experimented what they could, which is what we say that we would offer in a seance, an opportunity to experiment with Spirit. And that's what they did. And if people have sat in that seance and felt the energy of Spirit, which people told me afterwards they did, then Spirit have achieved what they said they would, and what we aim for them to do.
Can photoplasm be recorded on camera?
You'd have to ask the Spirit team for sure, but I know it's probably something that they're trying to work towards. It would be a lot safer than using ectoplasm, which would probably struggle with recording. But yeah, you'd have to ask the Spirit team to be sure.
Does your Spirit team use photoplasm? And if so, please explain what photoplasm is.
So, from what I've heard that the team have said, they work with a mixture of ectoplasm and photoplasm. Photoplasm being more energy-based, ectoplasm coming from the medium directly. Because photoplasm is more energy-based, it's a lot safer to use with mediums. There's going to be less harm if something goes wrong. But especially, within my seances, from what I'm told, we use a lot of light. And for them to do that, it means that when they're producing ectoplasm, they'll often coat it in photoplasm, which means that the photoplasm is taking the brunt of that energy, keeping the ectoplasm safe, keeping me safe.
Were you shocked when you were told that the film showed? Were you shocked when you were told that the film showed up what it did? And were you upset with the spirits for using this way?
Yeah, I was definitely shocked, especially as I heard about this 2 weeks after the seance, after the venue had paid me for it. I not expressed any concerns after people that night had told me they enjoyed the night and were asking me when the next one was, which showed that they were happy. Yeah, I was definitely shocked. I was not expecting that. I'm not angry at Spirit. As I said earlier, I wish that they'd probably have used someone else rather than me, but I trust that they have a reason why they do what they do. And actually, yes, their reasoning, when you look at it, if we look at the spiritual movement, even just how the spiritual movement has reacted to this, or the people who claim to be the spiritual movement, it's terrible. There's people who know nothing about physical who think they're experts, a lot of which whose own mediumship is very questionable. So yes, I can understand why Spirit would want to take physical mediumship and put it back into smaller groups, back into the home circles. And actually going forward, the sessions we've had since reportedly have had much better results than we were getting in the public setting. So I'm not angry at Spirit. I'm not happy with the situation, but I'm not angry at them, and I trust that they have their reasons why they do what they do. And I'm sitting for Spirit. I'm not sitting for the sitters in the room. It's Spirit that I'm working for.
So, can you elaborate on possibly why Banyan didn't come forward immediately and speak to you about the situation?
I don't know why Banyan didn't come forward straight away. I also don't know their full motives. So I believe their argument is that they wish to make the video public to make people aware. But surely if it was a case of they felt I'd done something wrong, I would have expected them to have gone straight to the police and let the police deal with it. Their whole act of making it public was basically, their aim was to try and get rid of me. I'm sure they had their own agenda. It's not like I'm the only physical medium that worked at the Banyan. Yeah, they obviously had their own agenda, and Nick's demands towards me were getting more and more. It started off with him not wanting to do seances. It then became I wasn't able to do workshops. I wasn't able to do talks. Demands were getting more and more as time went by. His argument on that he would release the video if I ever did a seance. Well, the website he created happened 10 days before the private seance happened out here in Australia. So his intention, obviously, all along was to make that video public. He was just trying to cause as much stress to me and try and ruin me as much as possible before finally putting the nail in the coffin and making that video public, giving people an impression of something other than it was.
Do you know of other mediums that have been filmed, and if so, are their videos available, and why haven't they been published?
I've heard rumours, and I do know of other physical mediums that have been filmed. As and why those videos have not been made public, I can't say for definite. People have their own agendas. Whether those mediums are now being blackmailed, like I was, I don't know. If we look at the history of physical mediumship, yes, there have been plenty of cases of a physical medium that has been found out of the cabinet for whatever reason. Some mediums in the past have claimed things like negative spirits and stuff, probably because they don't want to go through the slap of saying that the spirit decided to work that way. There are other physical mediums that would say to the researchers at the time, make sure I'm secured or I will fake it. They were fully aware that given the opportunity, in the right conditions, if spirit wanted to, they would happily take the medium out of the cabinet. I know of other physical mediums that throughout their career as a physical medium, a phenomena that would often be demonstrated would be taking the medium out of the cable ties and demonstrating that to the public. I know within my own seances it's been demonstrated in the past that I can be taken out if they want to, that they can take objects off me while leaving the cable ties intact. So yeah, it's fully possible. And this idea of the cable ties, as I've always said, and I always say in my pre-seance talk, the whole point of me being tied up is for my safety. It's so that if my body spasms while spirits create phenomena in the room, I don't hit the energy myself. The evidence is in what spirit demonstrating. The whole restraint is for my protection and nothing more.
So it's not really a level playing field if you were singled out?
No, I said there was a set agenda, and they definitely had an ulterior motive in mind, which is clear about the way they went about it.
So do you regret, this is a question from overseas, do you regret that people were hoodwinked by your spirit team, or were they hoodwinked?
No, I believe that what people have experienced for themselves, people have experienced for themselves. People are able to deduce for themselves if they can feel spirit. People are able to experience what they experience for themselves in the seance. What's happened now is because you've only heard one side of a story, and I've been branded a fraud without anyone giving me the light of day to explain otherwise, is people's opinions and will change. What people experience for themselves in their mind will change to what they're told to believe. And so they're a very valuable experience. For example, one person who had communication with Mrs. Barnaby and had a contact with her father, she will openly admit the information that came out, there is no possible way that anyone would know. You couldn't find that information anywhere. Yet, because it's been portrayed that I must be a fraud in her mind, she now believes that I'm a fantastic mental medium and spirit are giving me this wonderful information while running around the room. So it's completely changed the experience of actually what has happened to now what people think has happened.
Do you understand why this entrancement explanation is difficult for people to accept or to believe?
I can understand why it'd be hard for people to understand who don't understand physical mediumship. I know many people who would argue that mental mediumship, why don't all mental mediums bring out full names, telephone numbers, contact details? There are various reasons, which is fully understood and accepted within the spiritual movement because mental mediumship is well understood. And so those demands are not necessarily put on a medium who is developing or may work a different way to another medium. It's the same with physical. Different physical mediums work differently. You would not expect someone who wasn't trained in mediumship to have all the answers about mental mediumship, yet you've got plenty of mental mediums who think they're experts in physical mediumship. So if people feel hoodwinked or that they've been lied to, it's because they don't have the understanding, or the people who are offering the explanations don't have an understanding of physical mediumship, the history of physical mediumship, and the capabilities of spirit.
Is your spirit team able to move you through the cable ties by raising your vibration? Or how does it work that they can get you out of secure cables and tape?
Looking at other physical mediums in the past, there's a multitude of ways spirit could take me out cable ties if they wanted. They could do matter through matter, leaving the cable ties intact. They could physically remove the cable ties, I assume, if they wanted to. There's multiple ways they could do it. If they wanted to, I'm sure there was multiple ways that they could.
How can you prove to them that this really happened as you claim it did?
So with any seance, with any spiritual experience, it's all down to people's opinion, you know. I have sat in a seance with other mediums where I have seen ectoplasm red light. To me, that was the evidence. I've met plenty of people who would sit in a similar situation and would find the evidence in a trumpet flying around the room. And now to me, I would say that that wasn't evidence, but to others, that's exactly what they're looking for. So it's really subjective to the individual. I've been demonstrating for 5 years, and plenty of people have come back to my seances many times because of what they've experienced for themselves. And as I said in my statement, all I ask people is to judge me on what you've experienced for yourself, not what you're being told to believe. If you felt spirit in the room and if you experienced phenomena, then take that. That's what you experienced. Don't let anyone change that. Going forward, we will work with, we already work a lot with light conditions, but we will do more, and we'll try and work with more technology. We have done some experiments, and Spirit are trying to perfect that, and we'll keep doing that. We'll try and get as much evidence and information out there as possible. As and when Spirit want it, we are in their hands.
Has this ever happened to you before, to your knowledge, that you've been moved out of the chair?
I am aware I've been taken out of the cabinet before when we had an incident with a circle member, Michael, who, after given multiple opportunities and shown evidence, and him commenting multiple times that he'd had 100% evidence, and then he would go away and analyse, and then he'd want more and more, he finally got to a stage where he thought he would break the rules. So I am aware in a seance, Spirit took me out of the cabinet, interacted with him, interacted with other of the circle members, and then went as far as to leave him on his own so that he had the opportunity to get up and come into the cabinet, in which case Spirit had moved me somewhere safe. So yeah, I'm aware of that happening before, and we were warned again by other mediums beforehand that an incident like that would come up. So yeah, we have had warnings and stuff, and yeah, I'm aware it's happened before. But Spirit were in control, and Spirit, by doing that kept me alive.
When you were challenged by Nick Whitlam about the film, did you admit to him that this must have happened as the film showed?
I can't remember exactly what was said to Nick. When Nick called, it was 2 weeks after the seance. I was working in Germany at the time. I believe I was on a break in between the workshop. So I was just about to go back teaching again. So I was in shock. So I believe he spoke to one of my circle members, Teresa, afterwards, and I believe he complained to her that I didn't try and defend myself, which, yeah, I can understand at the time. I was in shock, you know. If I'd said that, then yeah, if that's what the video shows, then that's what the video shows. I don't know what happens in a seance, so if you tell me you've got a video showing that, then until I have a chance to ask the Spirit team, then yes, that's what I'm going to believe. But now, having spoken to Steve, that is not the stance I take.
Did you say then that you could only remember being in the chair at the start and the end?
Yeah, that is what I remember of the night, and I believe that is what I told Nick, that I can remember being tied up, and I remember being tied up when I woke up at the end. And
did he offer to show you the film at the time?
I asked him afterwards to send me some clips. To send me the video, and he sent me a few clips, which I didn't see, sadly, but I never got the whole video.
Were you aware that the video had already been released prior to you being told about it?
What way?
That the video was already uploaded to a website prior to you knowing about it?
No, I heard the video was going to be released through a third party. Nick didn't even tell me he was going to release it. So the first I heard the video was released were by people in the UK who had been sent the link, I believe by Nick himself, about the film. That was the first I heard about it.
And as you said earlier, Nick did say, you know, that you can't do any physical seances. Did you agree to do them?
Yes, so at first, when he first confronted me, I wanted the opportunity to speak to my spirit team, which meant I had to wait till I came back to Australia. What I didn't want is I didn't personally want a video like that to go public until I was in a state where I knew what the response was going to be from hearing the spirit team. So yes, so I stopped all public seances, but sadly Nick's demands got more and more as time went by. He would also say that, you know, he would be releasing the video, but he'd be sharing the video to others. Between him and Kingswell House, they were making public comments about it on their website and emailing people. So yeah, his demands were getting more and more, and as I said, the website was made 10 days before I sat. So he obviously had intention to release it from the start.
Did you offer to buy the film from Nick?
So with Nick's demands getting more and more, I sought legal advice to see where I stood. The lawyer I spoke to advised me that from the messages with Nick and the way he was acting, it was clearly showing blackmail and harassment. However, under UK law, blackmail can be a very grey area. One thing that helps determine it is if there is a monetary value. So my lawyer at the time advised me, ask him if he wants money for the video. If he says yes, then we've got a clear case of blackmail there.
Why did you carry on with public seances?
So, as I said earlier, my aim is to work for the spirit team, which I have done for over 10 years with the healing mediumship, the physical mediumship. We sat in a home circle, we had their answers, and they wanted to continue, so that's what I've done. I'm not going to give up all the work that Spirit's done just because someone like Nick wasn't happy with my seance. And yes, it'll be a lot harder going forward, but if Spirit achieve what they want to achieve, then it'll be for the betterment of the physical movement in itself.
He published it on the website, he says, to stop people from being tricked into paying for experiencing spirit materialisation when it might have been you in the trance. Do you blame him for doing this?
If he really had a problem with it, and he didn't have a set agenda to try and destroy him in the first place, then I would have expected the first thing he would have done if he thought I'd done something wrong is to go straight to the police. By making it public, he was trying to destroy me as a person. And he was trying to do that in secret, first of all, so that no backlash came on him, and maybe other physical mediums that he has sitting, which he earns money off. So yeah, he could have gone about it a different way. He had an intention all along to destroy me and only me, which he set out to do, and that's why he's done what he's done, in my opinion.
Have your spirit team told you whether they will entrance you again in this way? And have you given them permission to do so?
So in a sense, the spirit team have permission to do whatever they need to do, whatever they want to do. Nothing in our instructions says that spirit can't take me out there if they want to do that, or if they need to do that. From what I believe they said about the seance in question, if they were given the conditions they had asked for, they would work in a very different way than the way they did. Instead, given the opportunity, they thought that they would experiment and try something different, which they did. Put in the same situation, or if they decide that they want to do an experiment that involves them taking me out of the cabinet, they're welcome to do so.
Do you understand why people cannot trust a spirit team who don't explain and watch the plan is in advance so they know what they're paying for?
So, to that, with every seance, one thing I pray myself for in my seances is I will always make very clear in our instructions and before our seance. If you have any questions, concerns, or doubts, feel absolutely fine to raise that. I know in our seances, the spirit team will ask constantly if people have any questions about phenomena, about how it works. If people decide to sit there and not say anything, that's not my fault. It's not the spirit team's fault. If you want to come back 6 months later, 2 years later, and say that you saw me running around the room in a yellow thong, when you had every opportunity in that seance to ask, does the medium have a yellow thong? Search me afterwards when I say, does anyone want to search me? Search the cable ties when I say, does anyone want to search the cable ties before you cut me out? We give you every opportunity. If you think that you have been lied to and you never asked, then how is that spirit's fault for something you didn't ask when they gave you the opportunity?
I think that covers the next question. Do people have the opportunity to ask questions to spirit, and do they take the opportunity to ask the questions?
Some cases, whenever we've had a complaint in a seance, and any physical medium I know of, I can find people that will have complaints in their seance, something they weren't happy with. So I don't expect myself to be any exception. But anyone who's ever had a complaint in my seance, they were given every opportunity to ask. If they chose not to, for example, we were accused once of hiding someone in the curtains the whole night. Now, at the end of the seance, they could have very easily have gone and checked those curtains. They chose to go home, think about it, and then send me a 6-page email. What am I supposed to do in that stance? We can't go back to that night and then check the curtains. I can only say that no, there was nobody there. We give people every opportunity, and as we make clear on the night, there is nothing we can do afterwards. You can't turn around later and complain about something you weren't happy with when you were given every opportunity. If you were at a restaurant, didn't like the meal, and went back a month later and said you didn't like the meal, they're only going to give you a refund then.
Why did you not immediately explain your role in this and what exactly happened, instead of deleting all the questions and discussions from your Facebook page?
So, Facebook, my Facebook page is my Facebook page. If I don't want hate mail over my Facebook page, I don't have to have hate mail over my Facebook page. There's plenty of other pages doing that against me already. Even these videos, when they go out, these questions when they go out, you'll have some people who have a genuine interest, who will listen to the videos and take on board. They may come up with more questions, and that's absolutely fine. We encourage that. You'll have some people, though, who will listen to these recordings purely to try and find something to use against me. The work that I've lost because of this, a lot of it is because in places like the UK, some of my clinics, people have called and threatened people. That they must be a fraud themselves if they are having me, and other threats like that. That's not spiritual. That's using fear-mongering and hate and bullying and harassment to try and destroy someone. And that's why I've kind of kept quiet, or kept a lot to private messages, just because I don't want to fuel hate. Other physical mediums as well. I haven't got an vendetta against other physical mediums. I know there's some physical mediums that stand by what Nick did. In my eyes, that's like saying, if you don't believe in a seance, it's fine to record, because that's what's happened with the Banyan. But I would definitely say, every physical medium works differently, and if a physical medium has that in their requirements, there's a reason why they're asking that, and it's the reason why their spirit team are asking that. Nobody in my seance was forced to be there. Everyone chose to be there. Everyone went into that room, including Nick, knowing full well that these were the instructions. This is what we require in order to carry out the seance in the way that they would like. And they chose to break that. Nobody got anything that we said would not happen. It's not like we said that Gandhi would come through in a seance and it didn't happen. We didn't make any guarantees. We opened it to an experiment.
What are your future plans for seances?
So going forward, I will still sit, I will still develop, and I will work more and more where possible to try and bring more evidence. Even before this incident happened, we had welcomed other researchers, people with technology, to come on board and experiment for themselves. We were able to, in the past, we've been able to carry experiments using cameras. Going forward, I know Spirit want to do more of that, and that was before the video came out. I know in my seances, I'm one of the few physical mediums that work in so much light. A lot of people that come back to my seances, one of the reasons they came back was because of how much light we used in the seance, and how much they were able to see what was going on in that seance because of all the light we used. Some people are trying to use that as an explanation of why I was faking it, but never raised the question, whereas others were very happy because of how much they could see in the light. And we want to continue working for that. I know the team want to work towards white light. I still encourage that. And I still encourage for them to develop any way they want. Going forward, we want to liaise with other teams as well. We want to establish something that actually outlines what is physical mediumship, because like mental mediumship, different mediums work differently. Sadly, we live in an age where everyone is happy to think either genuine or fraud. There is no middle ground anymore. There is no, what is the purpose behind it, you know? People are going to a seance expecting to see a trumpet flying around the room, whereas it should be about proof of survival. Which, you know, I'm at fault as well with all the public I was doing. It was becoming more and more gimmicky. We were getting, you know, the more public I was doing, the less we were getting of Mrs. Barnaby. Now in our smaller groups, we're getting a lot more, so people are actually able to reconnect with their loved ones. So going forward, that's what I'm going to do. I'd love to say I would still do public, but Nick's put me in a situation where it's no longer safe because of what's happened. But yes, we will go forward. We will still let some people sit where possible and where it's safe to do so, and hopefully we'll soon get results that we can make public. But you know, even the videos we have got, I will not release them, even if it can clear my name. I will not release them until the Spirit team want me to.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Will you ever do public seances again? Do you agree with some groups holding public seances, insisting on everything taking place in light?
If their Spirit team are able to work with that, fantastic. Yes, I definitely encourage that. If their Spirit team say no because what we want to do, we need the dark, then I encourage that as well. You know, if you want to go see a seance with a medium that sits in light and you've only got the opportunity to sit with someone that doesn't sit in light, if you're not happy with it, don't sit. But it's in their instructions, you know. You can choose to follow those instructions or not go. If you're not happy, don't go. If you are happy, then sit, follow the instructions, and hopefully you'll get the result you're looking for.
If not, should it be filmed in night vision? And if not, why not?
So, in regards to night vision, and I'm not a scientist, I don't know all about night vision, and I know a lot of mediums claim that the infrared is harmful to ectoplasm. I don't know how accurate that is, but I'm sure if a lot of physical mediums are saying that, then there's obviously some truth to that. I believe in my own team, a lot of the camera stuff, you know, a lot of why we can't even release what we've got so far is Spirit will choose as and when they want things like that to go public. You know, if Spirit wanted that seance to be done on camera in the way they wanted to, then we would have asked Nick to provide the camera, or Nick could have come to us and spoke to us first. And maybe we could have addressed the Spirit team and said, you know, Nick really wants to have this camera here, can we work with it? And there's always an opportunity that they may have said yes, and we may have got a very different outcome on the camera. Or they may have been able to turn around to Nick and say, do you know what, you can record it, but we're not going to be able to show this, this, and this for this reason. However, they weren't given that opportunity. I wasn't given an opportunity to put it to them. So yeah, always ask the Spirit team, and I'm sure if they can and they feel it's right, then they will. If they can't or they don't feel it's right, then you have to either respect that or don't sit.
How do you feel about being tried by social media? Guilty until proven innocent.
Yeah, Facebook is the only thing people like more than supporting you is knocking you down. You know, there are plenty of comments on Facebook from people who have never even been to my seances, who will happily jump on the hate wagon and put me out as a fraud without even knowing what happens in my seances. I have seen a lot of mediums using this whole incident as a means to promote themselves, making out that now they are fantastic physical mediums or mental mediums, and now you should go see them instead because of how good they are. Yeah, you know, it's been very one-sided. Even Psychic News has been a completely one-sided article. You know, and yet people have to understand, I've been working for 5 years. I have had people who are at the top of the SNU. I've had people who have been in the spiritual movement for a multitude of years, who have not only been happy with my seances, who have not only come to my seance multiple times and brought their friends, had me at their venues. Now, are we to say that all these people can't feel spirit? Because if they can, and if we can trust their instincts with other physical mediums, then why all of a sudden, when they were supporting me all this long, do they no longer support me? Is it because they're worried about being thrown into the spotlight themselves, because of how people have reacted? And I don't blame them. Looking at social media, people just attack. People don't want to know. A lot of people don't want to know. They just want to attack.
That almost covers the next question here. Do you have a response to the story that was printed about you in Psychic News?
So Psychic News, very one-sided. None of the facts were checked. So let's see. So we had Teresa. Now that comment is taken from her after finding out of all this. So yes, of course she's shocked. I was shocked. there was no going back to her a couple of weeks later when she's had time to digest it or anything, and then asking her opinion. Christine didn't come back to Australia, not because of how I conduct myself with people, just because of a falling out that she'd had with a couple of other people while she was here, because of her attitude and the way she was acting. Even down to, she was still trying to book me for another conference afterwards, so she obviously wasn't not happy with my work. Michael was never my circle leader, to the best of my knowledge. We were also not lovers, as it seems to dictate in the article. Sadly, Michael wanted a relationship, I didn't, and I believe part of his spitefulness towards it was why he decided to break the rules in the seance. As it says in the article about how badly he was treated, as memory serves, I believe after the incident, Michael decided to come on a cruise with us for 12 days. So he was obviously so heartbroken that he was still able to come on a cruise and then stick around for a couple more weeks afterwards. That's how badly he was treated, because I know how I would react, and that wouldn't be the way I would react. The article in general, it seems from what I've heard afterwards, it seems as if Nick has known about everything in that article. I was never given the article before it went published. I was asked what I wanted to comment on it, but I was never given the article to know what it was I was supposed to be commenting on. It was very one-sided, especially, Nick, as it said, used to be a writer for them, so it is extremely one-sided. It picks me as a fraud. I've not been accused, I've not been prosecuted for anything. Where's the whole innocent to proven guilty? But if an article like that is going to call me a fraud, then yes, the majority of people who are going to read that are going to think that, and it hasn't given me a chance at all to explain my side.
So if I can make an observation, then it's not a very level playing field.
It's not, and if he can't even check his facts with 2 of the comments he's put in there, then how can I believe that anything else he's written is credible?
Come to the end of our questions. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
So I say, going forward, if you don't like my seances, as I've even said before this incident, if you don't like it, you don't have to sit. I'm not forcing you to sit. I'm also not out there to prove anything to the spiritual movement. I sit for spirit, and I sit for spirit what spirit want. I put my life on the line when I sit. If you don't believe that and you don't want to respect it, then don't sit. I never asked you to sit and break the rules. And going forward, I'm going to work to change that, not just to clear my name, but to help the movement in general. And hopefully I can leave something, and if we can set something with research, it will help change the physical movement in general. Aside from that, I've been working as a psychic surgeon for over 10 years. When I first started, I did platform when I was 13. I have spent my life working with spirit of mediums and spiritualists telling me that I was running before I could walk. Of mediums tell me that because of my young age, that I couldn't do it, or I didn't know what I was doing. And I know in the psychic surgery field, I'm one of the top of my field. I know in the physical mediumship, spirit were getting some great results, and they still are. And I will keep working for that. With my psychic surgery, I allowed myself to be researched for 5.5 years to show that it works and to document for myself how it works. A scientist once said it was my brain doing it, so I went and had a brain scan while I worked to show and to document for myself how it works. With the seances, I ask people to ask questions because I want people to understand what's happening so that I myself can educate and learn. And that's what I will continue to do. We've invited people in the past to sit and help document, and we'll continue to do so, even more so now. Judge me by what you've seen in my other seances. Judge me by what you've seen in my other work. And with everything we've achieved so far, I'm not going to let people stop me now. I'm going to keep working for spirit, and if people want, then I'll be there for them. If they don't want, then fine.
That's really good news. Actually, I have a question. Can you just enlarge slightly on matter through matter for those people out there in the world who don't understand it?
Matter through matter. Okay, so this is a chair. This isn't the one we use for our seances, but it's got the loop for the cable ties. So I would be cable tied, normally like this, around the wrists, not down here, as it apparently is what's stated. I'd be tied around here. So matter through matter would be, rather than removing the cable tie, they would say speed up the vibration of my arm so that my arm could pass through that cable tie without affecting the cable tie. What we'd also sometimes have is I'd be cable tied. We'd have people search me, make sure that I'm still fully dressed in my onesie. Then they would hold my hands or my legs, and while they were doing that, the onesie would be taken off me and put on them within a matter of seconds. So they're holding me, so I've not had time to undress and take it off, even though they felt themselves moments before they was there. So spirit again would speed up the vibration of the object, so it passed through my body, being able to take it without removing the bonds or the binds.
So everything is possible.
Yeah, given the right environment and the right situation, then yes, I believe anything is possible. But there is so much, as I've always said, there is so much we don't know about physical. And looking at the history, there is so much we don't understand. There's this incident, there's still so much we don't understand. But what we do know is that spirit know what they're doing, and they have their reasons why they do it. And given the right opportunity and given the right requirements like they'd asked for with that seance, it would have probably gone very different.
Thank you very much.